Hi, I'm Madeleine Fisher, and I have the overwhelmingly simple task of introducing MacKenzie Campbell. This introduction literally could have written itself because of the amount I have to say about my true role model. Yesterday in English class, I said the words, "If I had MacKenzie's drive, my life would be so much easier." I feel certain that everyone that has ever come in contact with MacKenzie feels that way. MacKenzie somehow balances taking the hardest classes that this school offers, probably being in every club this school offers, and holding leadership, all while being a legitimate prima ballerina after school on the side. She somehow manages to look good while she does all of this with venti black Starbucks coffee in hand and heels on her feet, and never gets frustrated with those of us who are not so blessed in the time management department. I am constantly in awe of her dignity, grace, compassion, do something attitude, and willingness to stand up for what she believes in, and I know that the world is a better place because MacKenzie is in it. Here is the nicest compliment I have ever received. Last year, because MacKenzie and I are a good 4 inches taller than everyone else in our grade, and both have extremely long names that start with M, Miss Goodman got our names mixed up many times, not on the first day of school, alas, but at the end of fourth quarter. I honestly wish that I were mistaken for MacKenzie more often. I can't wait to be enlightened and given some tips on work ethic, style, ballet, and gentleness from this ballerina fairy princess. So, please help me in welcoming MacKenzie Campbell.
A very wise woman once said, "Nobody's perfect. I gotta work it again and again till I get it right. Nobody's perfect. You live and you learn it. And if I mess it up sometimes, nobody's perfect." Well, as much as I love Hannah Montana, I have just never been able to accept this way of thinking. And until about a year ago, I was pretty much convinced that I was the exception to this rule. Not that I thought I was perfect, but that I still held out hope that practice really could make perfect. So as I worked my way through middle and upper school, I took on the task of doing everything exactly right the first time around. To be honest, this plan actually worked for a while, and this quickly became my identity. My life became about trying to live up to what was expected of MacKenzie. This meant always making straight A's, spending all of my time at ballet, dressing like a 35-year-old businesswoman, and doing it all without breaking a sweat. Then I entered the 11th grade. Tough classes, long nights at ballet, the looming college process, and dangerously high doses of caffeine swirled around inside of my head constantly. But even as the stress of the year inevitably built up inside of me, I remained determined to hold it all together. My personal motivational mantra was, "You can do everything." No, not simply "you can do anything." I had to do everything. On the outside, I suppose I did keep it together all right, but every morning when I walked through the doors of St. Mary's, I felt my stomach tying in knots and my consciousness waver. I didn't understand why I was feeling so sick all the time, and I pretty much continued on this way with no one really knowing how overwhelmed I was, until one cold day in November, with clammy hands and a racing heart, I had my mid-youth crisis. I'm not going to sugarcoat it, that was a tough day, but it was probably the single most important day of my 17 years of life. That day, I let one person in. I let one person know me. Timothy Keller writes, "To be loved but not known is comforting but superficial. To be known and not loved is our greatest fear. But to be fully known and truly loved is, well, a lot like being loved by God. It is what we need more than anything. It liberates us from pretense, humbles us out of our self-righteousness, and fortifies us for any difficulty life can throw at us." I can assure you that this is 100% true. While I was off trying to keep it all together, I pretty much kept to myself, nose ever to the grindstone. I never really took the time to look around and get to know my classmates or to let my classmates know me. I was so busy trying to mold my ideal self from the outside in that I couldn't see that my real self was slipping away from the inside out. Believe me, I know it is terrifying to take that leap of faith and let someone see your imperfections. It takes courage. As my favorite TED Talker, Dr. Brené Brown, puts it, courage is to tell the story of who you are with your whole heart. For me, it was less of a leap of faith and more of a trust fall, but the important part is that when I fell, I was caught. In one day, that one person who saw me and heard me changed my whole world. My life was no longer a to-do list of accomplishments with a column of empty boxes just waiting to be checked off, but rather a series of connections to make and people to know and love. My catharsis was not pretty or perfect, and I certainly did not have it all together. But I was known, and believe me, it is so beautiful to be known. To those of you like me who fear being rejected for your imperfections, I can promise each of you that despite your flaws, or rather because of them, you are so worth knowing and so worth loving. Just to be clear, I am not telling you to be yourself. I believe that you are you, and you could never really be anyone else, even if you tried. Instead, I am begging you to let other people see you, hear you, and know you. I know they will love you. The human experience is so much about connection, and you miss all of that if you don't allow others in. Please don't wait until your time at St. Mary's is almost up to truly know the people around you. And certainly do not wait until you are at your breaking point to let someone in. It will take courage, but it will be worth it because it is so beautiful to be known. Thank you.